Welcome back, darlings. Thank you for joining me once again. This week we're going to be talking about a bottle. Not only any bottle though, the bottle that is simultaneously, I think, the best and the absolute worst out there. Yeah, it's the CarPro Dilute bottle. So, if you'd like to take a minute and just sit right there, you'll shortly hear the opinions of a man with very little hair. Okay. Let's pull this out. More than 7 or 8. It's not your home. Sort that one out later. Bottle. Finally, it's there. Right then, on with the hot air. Alright, so after that shocking bit of cultural appropriation, what am I actually going to be talking about here? So, firstly, this is a CarPro Dilute bottle. And it comes in 2 sizes. This is the 1 litre bottle, and it comes in a 500ml. The 500 I think is actually probably better. But there's a reason why it is good in certain circumstances. So, let's talk about the good stuff. This bottle lets you dilute products in a litre quantity from 1 to 30 all the way down to 1 to 1. There are very few other bottles on the market that let you do that. I think I've got one other that I do use occasionally that has some dilution markings on, but it definitely doesn't go down to 1 to 30. So that is brilliant. And that is amazing. Like, essentially, that is the best thing about it. Is probably the only good thing about it, but it is fantastic at that, and it's so good at that it probably offsets the other stuff. But let's talk about the other stuff. Ergonomics are horrendous. With the trigger on top. Talking of which, trigger on top. It is really, really horrible to hold. Now the 500 is better because it's a slimmer bottle. So that's, I mean, it is good, but then sometimes mixing up a litre is nice. But then you need to decant it into another bottle. So, starting to see the problems, right? Spray trigger. This is the one that comes with it. It's awful. All it has is a cone spray. There's no adjustability in it whatsoever. The trigger throw is not particularly nice, and when it's got full of liquid, when it's a bit weightier, this thread undoes constantly. So you get leaking out the bottle. Pain in the butt. So, you have to change your trigger. Anything of preference. John over at Forensic Detailing did a fantastic video on different triggers and bottles and stuff. Now, it might sound a bit odd, but if you're watching this, you're probably interested in the bottle in the first place, so you might actually be interested in the trigger. I'll ping a link up to that in the corner. So this then is a Koch Chemie trigger, but actually it's made by Canyon. So when people talk about Canyon and Tolco triggers, that's what they're talking about, these different brands. This is nice. It adds a bit of height on it. It's not ideal, but it's a bit of height, and you can hold it a bit better. Rest on the heel or the webbing of your thumb and index finger a bit better. Good throw, and it's got a lot more adjustability in it. And it doesn't undo itself when you're trying to move the thing around. So that's a good thing. Now, seeing as we're here to talk about the dilute bottle, let's talk about the dilutions. Here you can see on the side of the bottle, it's got increments from 1 to 30 all the way down to 1 to 1. And it's got the instruction to tell you that you should fill it up with water first to the line and then top it up with the product that you want to dilute, not the other way around. And we'd all experienced this. If you put the product in first and then top it up with water, it all foams up and spills out the top, and you kind of actually lose a bit of the concentration that you're trying to achieve. Anyway, this is another bottle. Now, this is branded Anachem because that's where it came from, but this is pretty much exactly the same as the AutoSmart bottles as well. Now, this has the ability to measure dilutions on, but it's 1 to 10, and I think up to here it's like a 600ml bottle, and up to here it's something, I think it's like 750, so it's smaller than the litre, so you can't mix this up and decant it into another bottle, but this bottle has far better ergonomics. Then, not that you can necessarily decant into this, but these are the built handler bottles. These are great. Best ergonomics of the lot, really. Triggers are nice, but you can switch these triggers over with a different one because they all use the same thread size. They're very nice. What else we've got? The Worth bottles. These are good. Got some dilution, but not like ratios, just quantity amounts. These are really nice, good triggers, but again, not massively ergonomic. Same similar problem to the Dilutes. However, they've got a smoother edge, a little bit more height. But I only really use these for stuff that needs proper chemical resistance, so I don't have many of these because they're expensive. The triggers are great, but again, properly chemical resistant. Brings you back to another point. These aren't massively chemically resistant. I say that in the sense that AutoSmart TARDIS made this so brittle that when I banged it, the bottom fell out and all the TARDIS went everywhere. Not great when it's full, but then they don't market it as chemical resistant, so in all fairness to CarPro there. So then the other bottle type you see a lot of is something like this. These are by far and away, I find, some of the nicest to hold. They work well with a variety of different triggers. Some of them are chemical resistant, not brilliant, but then they're only like $1.95, about that, if that. But these are only 900ml, so you could mix up this and you still have to chuck something away. It's really frustrating. I just wish this bottle was more ergonomically sound, and then it would be fantastic. So yeah, that's really, in summation, some of the. It is a brilliant bottle, and it's about £4.30 for the litre one, and about £4 for the 500ml one. I think the 500ml one is, because of it, it's just so much narrower. Actually, your hand can grip around the bottle better, and it is way better from that perspective. It's much more manageable than the litre, but the litre one's more useful. Then back to that point on price. It's not really £4 though, is it? Because you have to buy a new trigger. These ones, these Koch Chemi ones, are about £4. These chemical resistant, I think these are Tolgos, are they? Yeah. These chemical resistant ones, you see them everywhere, they're kind of pretty ubiquitous. They're usually about £2.50, maybe £3, depending on where you're buying them from. Maybe £1.95, you know. But still, your £4 bottle's got or £4.30 bottle in this case, it's got at least up to about £7 because you have to buy a new trigger. It's all starting to not add up. And that leads me to the point, I don't think, I bought a lot of these, I bought about 4 or 5 of them. And I really should have only bought 1 or 2 for decanting. So mixing up and then decanting into something else. Because they are brilliant for measuring. There's just nothing else that's they're particularly good at. If they sorted this out and made it a top more like that, all the other bottles we were looking at, they'd be absolutely fine. But as it stands, buy one, but buy one, and buy other bottles to pour it out into. That would be my plan. For interior work or smaller quantities, I think the 500ml one is far better, but it's still expensive. Bear in mind, there's only 30p difference between the two, which is the material cost, basically. £4 for that bottle is quite expensive, when these, usually with a spray head as well, are a couple of pounds. So buy the 500ml one and then mix it up and decant it into this, so you know the volume would be fine. That's what I would do. Anyway, I hope that's been useful. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.